So it begins again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Colney. You start pre-season, you go to some weird and wonderful places, and yet, you're going to be hard pressed for better weather, better view than this. I lean on a fence at Colney, talking you through a behind closed doors friendly. Norwich City have kick-started their pre-season campaign with a win, 3-1 here against League One side Northampton Town. How much will we have learned? In truth, probably not a lot. We know at this stage of pre-season it's about fitness rather than football, but clearly there was a lot of interest and a lot of emphasis on what Liam Manning's Norwich City would look like, what the points of difference would be with Johannes Hoftorp. And I felt 45 minutes, we got a good indication of what that could look like. And the second half probably descended into pre-season sparring, quite literally in the case of Brad Hills and Cameron McGeehan at one stage. A really interesting afternoon of football. I'll try and talk you through it because, usually with these, you can kind of talk around it and people have kind of seen the game and recognise that's not been the case today. So I'll try and talk you through it. Norwich City lined up in the first half. Bear with me. There's a lot of players to try and remember here, but it was Dan Grimshaw in goal. It was Stacey, Matej, Darling, and who's at left back. This is I shouldn't have started this way really, but that's a good way to start. In the midfield, Forbes played. It was Adebayor at left back, of course. Forbes was right. It was Domaraki, and it was Matej Jurasek with Forson kind of behind Josh Sargent. That's how Norwich City started in the first half, and there were some really kind of noticeable points of difference. I think immediately, if you think about Norwich last year under Johannes Hoftorp, the possession was quite lateral. It was quite side to side. It was very patient. There was a lot more purpose, a lot more intent to their play with the ball. It wasn't about going direct, but it was about being vertical. It was about being progressive, breaking lines, breaking thirds, getting up the pitch, and trying to convert spells of possession by having something meaningful at the end, be that a chance created or a shot on goal or an opportunity that displayed some relatively good combinations. And there were signs of that, of course, in the game. There was one spell that I really enjoyed. It was actually at what I'm christening as the veg patch end, where Norwich moved the ball. It was three or four players. I think it was Darling to Grimshaw to Matej to Stacey into right that then went up pitch. It was a really nice sort of combination against a really super high aggressive press, but that kind of displayed it for me. It was more intent. It was kind of limited, and I think probably what we saw today was there was what they could do in one or two passes they did. It wasn't necessarily all about kind of building up patiently and building up a certain game picture and whatnot. And that, I think, was kind of the major point today. I thought out of possession as well, particularly in the first half, they looked a lot more narrow, a lot more compact. There was only really one transitional moment off one corner where they got caught. I felt a little bit short and there were too many people ball side and tracking back. It didn't end with a goal or a shot in the end. It was a foul, I think, from Forson on the edge of the box, but that was just maybe a display that there were still elements of work to do. But certainly in possession, fullbacks were tucked in, centre-backs were a lot tighter. Their shape was just a little bit more compact, and that was, I think, pretty good to see after, obviously, the volume and amount of goals that they conceded last season. They took the lead. I think it was about 26 minutes. It was Matej Jurasek who was on the score sheet, which is brilliant within itself. Really good goal, actually. Forson won the ball pretty high up the pitch. He fed Josh Sargent. Jurasek then curved run on the right, real burst of pace to get round his fullback, latched onto the ball, took it inside, round the goalkeeper, slotted it into the back of the net. That was got a little bit of wind here. That's the first win we've had all day. Typically, when I press record on the video, that was his last involvement, pre-planned substitute, and I think you can see. Still, there is elements to go with his fitness, and he kind of flitted in and out of the game. I didn't think he particularly backtracked necessarily well, but that again is indicative probably of the work that's needed just to try and build his levels up. Hasn't had a lot of football. I think he played 83 minutes of Championship football last season since that January move. And look, there were signs. There was a really nice moment in midfield where he took the ball on the turn and began to run, drifted in field quite a lot, which was quite interesting. I think we think about him at Hull. He was much more touchline hugging as well. So that was good. It was good to see him get on the score sheet. I think the celebration felt, the fact he celebrated in the pre-season friendly behind closed doors maybe suggests there was a lot of pent-up frustration, and nobody, I think, was more frustrated with how it went last season than him. So that was good. He literally scored that goal. Then there was a call for drinks, and he came off the pitch and was replaced by LaShawn Seeley. And actually went, if you just look there, basically where that floodlight is, there's another pitch beyond that. He was there running, so it wasn't anything injury related. I think you can just see in terms of his body and the condition of him and his work rate as well in that first half. There are elements for him to work through as pre-season goes on. But an encouraging start. It felt like he probably needed to lay down a marker. He's done that. He's got a goal in the opening game. Hopefully that is the start of many more to come. Building up, obviously, to Norwich City's first game against Millwall next month now, which is obviously coming. It's going to come round and is coming round very, very quickly. Second goal came from a corner. I thought Norwich generally looked quite threatening from set pieces in that first period, and you can see the size and presence, however big you think Jakov Medic is. In pictures and in videos, he's bigger in real life. He's an absolute man mountain. Him at set pieces, Harry Darling as well has got a really good goal threat. And then you combine that with Jacob Wright's deliveries, you could see a world where Norwich City are much more threatening in the Championship. As to be fair, they ended the campaign. They scored quite a few pre-season goals, corner goals, and you could see sort of heading into the season they could score a few more of those, and just the bodies and the quality and consistency of the delivery as well, which is good. And it's from that route the second goal came. It was a ball corner from the left that Jacob Wright put into a really nice area that was cleared back out to him. His second delivery was on the money, and Sean Seeley, who 18-year-old academy winger, quite big, quite powerful, was quite enthusiastic, I felt, with how he played and his intent and his running, and you can certainly see the qualities there, quite highly thought of. Really good header into the ground past the goalkeeper, Fitzsimons, and into the back of the net for 2-0 at that stage. The Northampton goal came just before half-time, really. Forson, who had an excellent half up to that point. And again, I kind of started this game, if anyone watched the Team News Live videos, it was around a man called Forson and Matej Jurasek perhaps trying to make step forwards and trying to lay down early markers in pre-season. And they both did that in different ways today. Forson's performance was pretty good. His impact for the first goal in terms of that energy and winning the ball high up to then find Josh Sargent. But then just had a really crazy 2-minute spell, gave the ball away just on the edge of his own penalty area. Hoskins, I think it was, ran through, saw a shot saved by Dan Grimshaw, and that was then put in by Jacobs for 2-1, which is a shame because it kind of Norwich hadn't given away too much. There was one header from Elliot List that went over the bar. But beyond that, there wasn't too much in the way of kind of chances that they conceded in front of their own goal, or Dan Grimshaw made to work especially hard. So it was frustrating that it was an individual error and through their own work really that led to that goal that Northampton scored. But beyond that, in truth, they weren't really tested throughout the 90 minutes. There was another occasion in the second half that I'll come on to, but barring that, certainly an open play, didn't really feel like Northampton offered too much from an attacking perspective. Not to say Norwich had a host of chances, they didn't, but they created more hits this afternoon, as you would hope. I mean, otherwise, first half, I think you could see the qualities and why Norwich have moved to bring in Jakov Medic, the size of him, the power. There was that transitional moment I mentioned. If Forson doesn't make the foul, I think Medic probably does mop up. There was a real endeavour and enthusiasm to get back. But there was a really nice pass, one in particular that he played into Sargent's feet that broke a couple of lines. That was excellent, and that technical quality was there. I was sort of intrigued to see him from a physical perspective, from not in terms of how big he is, but in terms of a sort of running perspective. And I think we saw some good signs on that front as well. Harry Darling, nice and composed. And those two in possession really set the tone for how Norwich wanted to play. They were comfortable in possession across the pitch. And when you add the quality of Jacob Wright, who kind of picked up today where he left off, looks in fantastic nick, so tidy. And that chant that Norwich City fans had for Tom Tribal, never giving the ball away. There needs to be some sort of convert for Jacob Wright because he's so press resistant, he's so tidy in possession, the way he moves it, the way he gets Norwich ticking. There's a brilliant ball in behind for Jack Stacey, I think around the 22-minute mark, that Stacey should have cut back, and he had options in the box and actually opted to chip it to the back post. But yeah, just the way he sets the tempo, the way he always wants to get on the ball, his quality when he is on the ball, all of those elements I think really positive, and you saw that today. So it felt like almost he'd been plugged back in from where he left off last season and carried that on today. Probably the most impressive Norwich City performer in terms of performance this afternoon, with honourable mention to those guys that I mentioned. Josh Sargent, I thought, showed plenty of endeavour. Maybe didn't get the ball touches that he would have liked, but still influential in not just that goal, a couple of moments around the box as well, where he had his back to goal, took the ball in and kind of committed a few Northampton defenders, which is good to see as well. So yeah, all in all on that front, a pretty good first half, competitive. I thought there were some really nice elements there, and it was probably indicative of the way Norwich City want to go about things, with Liam Manning out of possession, looked pretty tidy, pretty compact, pretty useful, certainly a better shape about them as a collective. Adebayor, I thought was good at left back as well. Really looks to me like he's kind of bulked up, beefed up, and I thought he did well in that role. Centre back by trade, yeah, maybe attacking wise not so much. Brandon Forbes as well, who played on the left. I thought there were some positive moments from him, and Domaraki as well in the middle. It was good to see him get some some minutes. So yeah, all told, a pretty good opening 45 minutes. The second half, Norwich named a completely different 11. It was younger. It had kind of 4 strikers. Abbo was on the left. Mundell Smith was on the right. It had Dylan Jones spearheading it, and Antti Sinats more as a 10, but a deeper lying kind of option within that. Liam Gibbs and AJ Bridge were the midfielders. Callum Fisher, left back, just felt his hamstring, I think, a little bit, which is why he was forced off about 20 minutes into the second half, which is a little bit of a shame. Brad Hills at right back, Duffy and McConville with Molden in goal. And this felt a lot more pre-season-y as a half of football. There was probably less to report in terms of chance creation or any discernible patterns. This felt a lot more catered towards actually getting players on the pitch, actually getting the minutes, actually getting sort of work into their legs, so to speak, because the possession quality dropped noticeably. Norwich's control on the game that they had in the first half probably dropped considerably as well. And just in terms of actual goal mouth action, there wasn't a huge amount to report. The most kind of pressing thing I think that happened, barring obviously the late goal that Norwich scored, was that kind of flare up between Cam McGinn and Brad Hills, which we'll come on to. So yeah, some good bits in that second half. I thought individually, Antti Sinats looked very lively. I quite liked him in that deeper role. Actually, it's not something that we've seen from him, but there was real intent from him to get on the ball, to make things happen. He found space really well. And I think just in terms of kind of where he was at, had a lot of energy about him and a lot of intent to play the passes either side and get Norwich on the attack and get kind of that front-footedness that we spoke about in the first half, where, actually, can you convert possession into something meaningful? He was good at helping connect those elements, to connect those kind of deeper phases of possession into something that maybe could get Norwich on the attack and try and construct something. So that was good from that perspective. Some nice switches of play from Shane Duffy as well. I think Vatan Ozcan I was impressed with as well. Young left back, Turkish youth international. Came on for Callum Fisher when he came off. There was a really nice moment where he stepped in to win possession, really kind of aggressive defending, really intelligent defending, stepped up, got to the byline, exchanged passes and flashed the ball across the face of goal. Really impressive sort of moment of play, but just looks very comfortable. I was impressed when I saw him play in the Youth Cup for Norwich's under-18s last season. Would have been around the autumn time, and he was one of the standout performers. And I haven't actually heard what Liam Manning said to Pad, because I was speaking to Rory McConville, but he seemed really impressed with kind of what he has seen in training and also what he saw from him today. Clearly, Mahovo feels unlikely that maybe he's going to make the championship kickoff. Ben Krezene easing into it as well. There is a situation there, and that will create an opportunity naturally for someone like Vatan Ozcan if they can really step in and up the ante. Obviously, as we now head to the Netherlands for Norwich City's next stage of pre-season. So those are the little things that you're looking out for at this stage. The third goal came, lovely ball over the top. Must confess, I didn't see who played it, but Mundell Smith ran onto it, put it into a really good area across the face of goal. And it's just one of those where Willis was unable to deflect it or divert it anywhere other than into his own net. And that saw the game finish 3-1. So, yeah, I mean, this stage of pre-season is pretty futile in terms of trying to analyse or to, sometimes you can overanalyse things and whatnot. I've given you some good bits. I think there were some not so good bits as well that Liam Manning will be quite keen to work on, particularly in that second half where they just struggled to get any rhythm going. But again, you have to accept it in the context of what it is, in that Norwich were playing 4 strikers in forward areas and 3 centre-backs in defensive positions, and had a lot of young guys there as well. So I think when you add that context, it explains the type of second half that we saw. I'll mention the incident. There was one moment just in front of the away dugout, which is just down here to my right. Brad Hills caught McGee, and I think he was left a little bit unhappy with that. And then obviously it flared up again. There was a free kick that went into the box. I think Liam Gibbs delivered it. Hills has gone up and big clash of heads, big thump, not nice. Both guys had blood pouring out of their head. We know all about Cam McGee and kind of the full-blooded nature of how he plays and how he is as a character. Both kind of received treatment for a little while, and it seems a bit sterile. Both players are kind of at the side of the pitch, and then as the pair walk off, I think McGee goes to grab Hills. There's sort of a bit of fisticuffs involved, and a lot of exchange words as Hills headed in to get his head glued up, essentially, which is what has happened. Not quite sure on how McGee is, but both left the pitch, and that, I think, probably illustrated that today was quite a competitive outing for both teams, and one that I'm sure Liam Manning and Kevin Nolan would have got plenty out of. But that was a nice kind of footnote to a behind closed doors friendly, not something that you tend to see at these games particularly often. So yeah, there we go. That was a nice moment. So there we have it, really. Basking in sunshine. Norwich City keep pre-season off with a win, obviously. They fly out, I think, to the Netherlands on Wednesday, and they're two games next Saturday. One against Volendam, the other one in Belgium. Both of those will be a step up, and then obviously play the following Friday against Olympiacos and Den Haag. So a real step up in quality. I'm sure a step up of intensity as well in how they're doing. And I think by the end of that Dutch trip, obviously we've won them pre-season friendly to go against NAC Breda. I think we'll have a decent idea of where Liam Manning's squad is at and who probably is leading the charge to be involved in that big championship kickoff. There's plenty more analysis and reaction to come from today, Liam Manning's interview. I've already seen it as I've been live. That's dropped on our YouTube channel now. You can go and watch that as well. And we'll bring you all the subsequent analysis and reaction. There's an offer on at the moment to subscribe, pinken.com/subscribe for all the details. They're well worth doing it, as we're flying out to the Netherlands as well to bring you coverage and hopefully some exciting stuff this week as well. Thanks for watching. See you soon, everyone. Enjoy the weekend and crucially, enjoy the sunshine.